All right. Oh my goodness, who's going to start the podcast here, Jay? We're so we got our own YouTube channels here. You got your Full Disclosure Fitness podcast. I got Physique Frontier podcast. Hey, welcome to our shows, I guess you can say.
Right. Welcome to the shows.
What's happening, brother?
Not much, man. I'm excited to talk to you again. I always love talking to you.
So how's things been? Last I talked to you, you were about to head out for the fitness summit, so you were a little bit concerned about there's going to be lots of barbecue there. I did see some of your video footage. How did it all go? Were you able to kind of stick to your diet rules and all that stuff?
I am the guy who goes on vacation and literally gains, I've gained 10 pounds in a week, several times. And so I have a really hard time going on vacation and controlling myself. I usually see it as like an escape from this thing that I don't like, which is the diet. But this time I didn't see it that way. And I see it more as a lifestyle. I've really spread out and gotten more recipes that I enjoy. I've been having foods that I like. I'm satisfied. I'm eating enough calories, even though it's still a pittance compared even to what you're eating. Lucky man with the metabolism. But for me, I've been able to have a variety of foods. And when I went on vacation, when I went to the fitness summit, they had barbecue. I ate a plate of barbecue, put some barbecue sauce on it, stayed away from the side dishes like beans and cornbread and all that stuff. I love it, but I was able to stay away from it, keep my mind on other things, and I came back. Let's just say this. I left at midnight. Both nights, went to the gym. It was in the Marriott, and nobody in there from the fitness summit. I don't know if anybody worked out or not. And so anyway, I was in there, I worked out, and they had a scale in there, and I was 153 on Friday night, and then I was 153 again on Saturday night. So, boom.
That's excellent. How did that scale correlate with yours at home? Pretty close to the same weight, or?
The thing with scales is the one that I use at the gym right now is I can step an inch forward and I'm a pound heavier, an inch back, and it's on a platform. It's connected to an electronic readout. They're all pretty inaccurate, but you want to use the same one because then at least it's accurate to itself, unless it's like that weird one at the gym. But I've got one here at home, and it was that scale was about right. It was about on with mine. Sometimes you'll get one that's way low. Don't worry about the number that the scale gives you. Use the same scale, and that way you can adjust and know what's happening. Yeah. If you go using grandma's scale, and then you use your mom's scale, and then you use your scale, and it's fluctuating all over the place, that's probably the scales. It's not you,
Yeah, for sure. I only use my scale here at home, mainly because I like to be buck naked when I get on it. If I go to the gym, some shorts are heavier than others. Some of my shirts are thicker material. So I just like to keep things as consistent as I can be, as buck naked. Unless, shaving, I probably lose a pound of weight every time I shave my body. I'm a pretty hairy dude.
I'm getting hairier as I get older. Like I used to have, first I couldn't grow a beard when I was like 20. That only lasted briefly. Then I can grow a perfect beard. But the last year or two, it's like I didn't really grow any hair in here, and now they're starting to come in, and it's like giving me irritation. I'm like, don't come in there. I don't need you there. I just need this, and it was perfect there for a minute, but I can tell what it is the longer that you're alive, the longer that testosterone floats in your body, and the more time it has to hook on to those little hair follicle receptors and cause growth. So even if your test is going down like it does when you get older, it's still floating around in there for so many years. It's just like, I think I'll hook on here. Now I want to grow hair on the back. Yeah. It's like, what? I've got like 6 back hairs now.
For me, everywhere except here. That's basically it. Actually, I don't. I'm glad I don't have back hair or anything like that. But yet, we'll see as I get older. That's for sure.
Just take them out one at a time.
So you're sitting around 153 even this week, or did you drop a little bit since you got home from the summit?
It has been weird. Now, I'm getting leaner. I'll tell you that. I know I'm getting leaner, but I was 151 for a day, and then I had a refeed, and I've somehow went to 154, but but I'm leaner. And I don't know what I was today. I was like, screw it. I'm not even going to weigh myself.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. It's, Lyle McDonald was talking about the whoosh factor.
Yeah.
And he was talking about that when you lose fat, if sometimes he thinks maybe the fat cell actually empties out, and then the body somehow pumps fluid back into that fat cell and fills it back up again, and it looks like you didn't lose anything. And then this fluid comes out, and you have what's called a whoosh, and all of a sudden you look lean. It's like overnight. And I've seen that so many times, I do believe that that does happen. And I think that maybe something like that's going on. The main thing is that you just keep doing what's working, and don't let these outside factors influence you and make you stop. Just keep going, battle through it, and things will turn out good at the end. Trust me.
Yeah, I've been pretty consistent, even with refeeds, and like the weekends tend to be the times when I bump up my calories a bit. And I've been consistently losing a pound a week. It's going to be interesting to see tomorrow's weigh-in for me. I don't think I'm going to be down that pound because I've had a few extra days around maintenance. On the weekend, I ate a little bit more. So instead of just one higher day and one kind of maintenance day, I had 2 pretty high days. And then on Tuesday, I probably ate really close to maintenance as well. So I haven't had as many days in a deficit. I definitely haven't gained or anything. But it'll be interesting to see if I do drop tomorrow. I just had one weird day on Tuesday where things were going great, and then my appetite it got ravenous all of a sudden. I was cutting the lawn, and I don't know what triggered it, but all of a sudden I was freaking famished. So I ate, and like I had a whole bunch of Cinnamon Toast Crunch, so some boxed cereal, and then I freaking crashed. I just like passed out for 20 minutes. And then I felt great afterwards and felt full. So just interesting experience. I can't even explain it. I have no idea what the heck happened. So this may be a week where my fat loss is a little less than normal, but I'm still I'm enjoying the process. So I'm not beating myself up over it. I'm not going to feel guilty. I'm not going to feel disappointed. I've actually been, like, up to this point, very surprised at how fast things have been going. So right now I'm sitting at 154. I started this around 161 not that long ago. It's only been 5-6 weeks. And so I'm ecstatic with where I'm at. I'm guessing I probably got another 3-4 pounds to go. It's all right kind of in the back fat, that love handle. So it's a little bit on the side and then a little bit of the back fat and still just a tad bit on the lower belly. That's the last spot it's going to come. This morning I checked out in the mirror too, just on the bottom of the glutes, a little bit of fat there as well. So it's coming along. I'm not in a huge rush. I would like to have it done and over with within the next 5 weeks would be fantastic, but it is what it is, and I'm just enjoying the process and certainly not feeling deprived in any way whatsoever.
Well, you kept the calories really high, and I think it's a good idea. I think every day that you can get up to maintenance and let your body say, okay, everything's okay, I don't have to lower anything, because it is true. I mean, your leptin levels, your metabolism overall drops a little bit when you're in that caloric deficit for too long, and that's why I've got another trip coming up, the 21st through the 24th or something, and I'm going to go back up to maintenance again for 4 days. And so, or right around maintenance. So I'm pretty happy about that because I've had 2 4-day stretches where I'm going to maintenance.
Right.
And I think that anytime you can get to maintenance and return those levels to normal, that's a good thing. And you can also fill back out a little bit and get your glycogen stores back up. I think it's very good that you're doing it the way you're doing it, as long as you're still making progress, because there's a fine line there.
Exactly. Yeah, I did. It was interesting experience from like Friday and Saturday I ate in a slight surplus. Sunday was pretty much maintenance, and I weighed myself on Monday morning, and I was up to 156.5. So it's like I gained 2.5 pounds over the weekend. A lot of people would get very upset, throw in the towel, and just forget about it. I'm done. I always do this to myself. I always screw up and blow it. But so that was Monday morning. I weighed myself. The very next day, step on the scale, right back to 154. So that 2.5 pounds that I gained was just the food weight in my system, a little bit of water retention, maybe a little more glycogen in the muscles. But yeah, definitely it was nothing to be concerned about. That's for sure. And it did feel good. Did feel good to get that extra little food in my system. It kind of felt a little too full, actually. Like afterwards, I didn't like that feeling. I was getting used to the feeling of being light. I kind of like waking up in the morning and feeling light. And for 2-3 days, I was waking up. I'm like, like I don't feel so good. And even like up to now, my digestive system, it hasn't been 100%. I guess I'm not eliminating as well as I usually do. It's not bad, but and that makes a difference. That's going to affect my scale weight as well.
It does, and I think that your body, it likes things to stay the same. And one thing that I've noticed with my own diet is whenever I keep my meals in the same place every day, and Alan Aragon talks about that more so than splitting up your meals into 6 or not worrying about it and only doing 3 or only eating once a day. More than that, you've got to do something consistently so that your body gets used to it and it makes you fall in a rhythm and you don't get those crazy hunger cravings. Because if you eat 6 meals a day for 2 years and then you decide that you read something and you say, well, I read that small meals, they don't matter. So I'm going to have 2 meals a day, and I'm going to do sort of an intermittent fasting type thing, and I'm going to have all my calories in 2 meals. You're going to think immediately that doesn't work because your body's going to be thrown for a loop, and you're going to be having major cravings and everything. But if you rode that out for about 7 to 10 days, it would probably start to equalize. I'm not saying that's optimal for muscle building, 2 meals a day, but you'd equalize, and your body would get used to that, and you got to give everything time, including training programs, including your diet, everything. You have to give it time for your body to adjust to it and get used to it.
Yeah.
So with me, I have 4 meals a day, but a couple of them tail off into snacks. So I have breakfast, and then about an hour later, this is the way I like to do it. Sometimes my clients throw me off a little bit because they're more important than me. They are. So about an hour and a half later, I have a banana and a tablespoon of peanut butter. Then I hit the gym about 30 minutes later. Then I come home and I have my next meal. Then I have a shake with a half a banana and another tablespoon of peanut butter. And then I have my last meal of the day. That's it. And it's every single day. And when I miss one of those meals, I start to get a craving. So one of the first things you can look for if you start to get a bad craving is, are you eating differently than you normally are? And another thing is, are you exercising more? Because they're starting to find out, I read this somewhere, you tell me if you've heard this, if you exercise more on a given day, it can trigger an appetite.
Oh, yeah.
So your mowing, I was just thinking that.
Yeah.
Your mowing could have actually triggered a little something different, or getting dehydrated, anything like that.
Yeah, definitely wasn't dehydrated because I had just had fuel in me. I had been drinking lots of water throughout the day. My calories were up, but it may have been because a thunderstorm was coming in, and I was like sprinting. I've never cut the lawn that fast in my life, and it was hot. It was like, for us, warmer weather than normal. It was in the 80s, so it like shot up. We're back down in the 50s right now, which sucks. But so it was a hot day, and I was going through it like crazy. And so who knows? Who knows what the experience was like? But I totally agree. Consistency keeps my hunger, my appetite in check for sure. And yeah, activity level, I think that's one of the reasons why I'm doing so well with the nutrition right now, is that I'm kind of getting away with as little as I can. Resistance training is top priority. I crush my workouts 5 days a week. I freaking love hitting the weights hard for about an hour 15 minutes. Cardio, it's minimal right now, and I do find my appetite is a lot less right now than it was when I was doing tons of cardio prior to other photo shoots in the past. I'd be doing on the step mill for like 45 minutes to an hour, sometimes twice a day, and I was easily kind of eating up those calories again. So I'm thinking, man, I was really abusing my body a lot for the sake of trying to burn more calories, but I ended up eating more calories in the process. And I mean, some people kind of look at the trade-off. They're like, I want to eat more, so I'm going to do more cardio, but I don't know.
There's something to the fact also that when you were, and I'm sure everybody that's watching this, you may remember this, you go to a pool and you swim all day, right? You're like 10 years old. And at the end of the day, you are ravenous, hungry. I don't know why. I always associated it with water. But I'm thinking now that I'm a little bit more mature and a little bit smarter, I'm thinking that could possibly be due to the activity level, right? A lot more likely than due to the water. But I'm telling you, that was the hungriest I think I've ever been, is like 10, 12 years old, swim all day. And I was eating. I would eat hot dogs. I remember getting out of the pool and going over to the hot dog stand and eating hot dogs and a slush puppy. I mean, it wasn't low calorie. But then the end of the day comes, and Mom and Dad take us to Mr. Gaddy's, the pizza place. If you don't know what that is, it's like a pizza buffet. And I would eat like 8 pieces of pizza. I was a chubby 12-year-old. But the point of this is that there's something to that. When you increase that activity level dramatically over what you're used to, I think it does trigger a response. It makes sense. Look at everything with common sense. Does that not make sense?
Makes total sense.
You would go dig for more roots back in the day if you were like really active for a day. So if you had to chase a mammoth for a day, you'd be digging for roots to fuel you to chase that mammoth further. So always look at things with common sense. Does this make sense with our evolution and our ancestry? And I think that makes perfect sense. When you do more activity, your appetite's triggered because you need more fuel. That's a survival mechanism.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm raising my cardio to 40 minutes, and now I'm worried about it. I'm raising it today.
No kidding.
Thanks for freaking me out. I appreciate it.
How's the strength training going? I see you bumping up the weights on the dumbbell chest press. You feeling good? Is it fun? Completely different type of experience, adding some weight to the dumbbells there?
I'm telling you, my physique is built on the pump. So metabolic stress. So pumping the muscles so full of blood that they're about to explode, resting 25 seconds between sets. This is how I built my physique. And there were times that I bulked and I went down to 5 reps. There were times, like maybe for, seriously, a workout. And then I would go right back to the other. So this is the first time that I've ever went down in the 2, 3 rep range. I'm doing that at the beginning of the week. And then at the end of the week, I do my hypertrophy workouts, which is kind of like what I always done.
Yeah.
It's been amazing. And I'm shooting up in weights, quickly catching what I was kind of at my strongest, at my biggest and strongest back in 2005, because I never was training for strength then. And I was looking the other day, just to give you an example, because I've had a pec issue, my pec cramps, and I think it's something to do with my scapula, and you were talking about this with me. I ordered a lacrosse ball, and I watched some Kelly Starrett, or however you say Starrett, or however you say his name. And I'm going to try to mobilize, do some mobility stuff for this back here. But the point of it is, I had a Word document still open on this little MacBook. And a month ago, it said 55-pound dumbbells on the flat bench press for 7. And it said new record for right now. I've done 110s, I think, in the past. That's about the heaviest I can remember on flat back in 2005. But this was I'd been working out with like 40-pound dumbbells, so I didn't irritate that.
Yeah.
And so now the other day I did 75s for 4 on my heavy day. And they weren't great reps, but still, that was a month ago, and I'm on a diet.
Right.
So that was an eye-opener that, I am going to get where I can work out with a lot heavier weights on my hypertrophy days if I can just keep this strength stuff going. So I'm a believer now.
Yes. And I like that. So it sounds like we're following something similar right now. I'm doing 3 strength-focused days. I'm trying to stick within the 4 to 6 rep range, take a day off, and then 3 hypertrophy. And right now the way I'm working it is a push day, a pull day, a leg day. Take a day off. Those were strength focus, and push, pull, legs, hypertrophy focus. I really like that. It's a nice change of pace from other workouts where I'll go upper body strength, lower body strength, and then 3 hypertrophy workouts.
Right.
So I like that. It's a different feel to have a workout where you're just focusing on strength, and then a workout where you're just focusing on hypertrophy. I do like to throw in a mix, especially when I do like body part split training, where I will incorporate some heavy lifting and some hypertrophy lifting for one body part in one workout. It's a whole different mentality. Like I find those workouts can really wear you down mentally and physically. Like if I'm doing chest and I do a heavy set, and then I do, or if I start off lighter, I do a hypertrophy set, and then I know I've got the heavy set next, and it's just mentally just preparing for it. It's just more exhausting, I find, in the end, which is kind of the purpose of a body part split. You want to completely exhaust that muscle group, but it's a whole different feeling when you just do one day. You're just focusing on strength on that body part. It's a whole different feeling. I like it. I like having it split up, and it's kind of nice. My body responds very well to it.
I like it too. The thing that I did though was I was keeping my 3 hypertrophy days in a row at the end of the week, and I'm eating roughly 1,600 calories right now, 170 something grams of protein. But the point of this was that I was doing those 2 days. I was doing 2 days of strength, upper and lower, early in the week, and I felt like I wasn't doing anything on those days. But the thing of it is, you're doing a lot of central nervous system stuff, and so when I did for 2 weeks, I did my hypertrophy. And I was working out like 15 sets of chest, 9 sets of tries, plus the strength at the beginning of the week. And I had a day off in between. And what happened was I overtrained. And I could feel it this past Monday. I had to take a day off. I was like, oh my gosh. There's a feeling after you've been working out as long as us, you're just like, I can't work out. And that's the way I got Monday. And it was my lower body power day. And I was like, I can't do it. I was sleeping there on the couch. And, I decided not to do it. What I did this week is I cut back on my sets. I did about 11 or 12 sets for chest, and I did about 6 or 7 sets hypertrophy for arms. So I had to cut those sets back. It was just too much for this calorie deficit. I couldn't recover. So there's a point where you can't recover, and if you're not taking any help, you just got to be careful with that because you can really overstep your bounds real quick. And so I did that this past week, but I got back on track now, so I feel pretty good. But
excellent.
Overtraining is real.
No doubt about it, man. No doubt about it. How about body image? How you feeling about your physique right now? Shirt off? You confident? What's going on in your mind when you look at yourself in the mirror right now?
I've got, I really feel like I got to be a certain way. And that's a problem with your self-image. A lot of bodybuilders have issues with their self-image, and I most certainly have issues with my self-image. So for me right now, would I want to go to the pool? I would think probably like the average guy who has lost 5 pounds in his beer gut would probably think of his physique. That's probably how I think of my physique right now. So that's terrible. It doesn't correlate with real life.
Right.
But I don't feel that great about it. I think I need 5 more weeks. And I'll be very confident with the way I look, but at the same time, I'm telling you, if you've got the mentality, like I think you probably have it too, there's always something to fix.
Oh yeah.
And there's a difference between feeling confident, which I will in 5 weeks, I'll feel great, but there's a difference between that and being completely quenched and being like, I don't need anything else, And so I'll still feel like I need something else, don't get me wrong, but I'll be happy with myself and be very confident with my shirt off, probably in 4 to 5 weeks. And I'm pretty excited about this week's video, just to tell you that my confidence is going up. I'm pretty excited. I think that I've made some drastic improvements just in this past week. So
that's great news, man. I'm excited to see that big reveal. That is really good news. And this really is great accountability for us. I am loving this process. I'm loving being very public and transparent about it all. When I did my first reveal, it's been 5 weeks now, I think, since I first took my shirt off and showed where I'm at. I was confident there. Not super confident, but I think I could take the shirt off, go to the beach. I know that, I wouldn't be entirely happy with a little bit of the love handles and stuff, but I'd walk the beach feeling pretty proud. Right now, where I am at, I'm ecstatic. When I cut the lawn on Tuesday, shirt off, I couldn't wait. In the gym during my workout, all I kept thinking is man, I am taking that shirt off and feeling really good about myself. So I'm at a point right now, even though I still got probably 4 more pounds to lose. I'm at a point where I think this is as fat as I would like myself to ever get again. So when I go through muscle building stages again, this is my limit. I am super duper confident at where I'm at, and it does, like, as much as people say, I mean, I'm happy with myself, love myself, I have great confidence, and some people will say that like getting 6-pack abs and all this stuff, it's not going to bring you happiness. And I totally understand it. So you got to be happy with yourself and happy with life and everything else. 6-pack abs themselves don't make you happier, but it impacts me emotionally for sure. When I am lean, I've got the 6-pack confidence. There's so much to say for that feeling. It transfers over into everything else in life that I do. My relationship with my wife, relationship with people all around me, with my kids. I feel better, and I think that is what in turn makes me happy. I don't look in the mirror and go, I'm freaking happy I got 6-pack abs. It's that feeling I get and how it transfers into that confident feeling that transfers into all other areas of life.
I think it relieves a problem. I think that's the biggest thing. You know, if you got money, it relieves a problem. If you've got 6-pack, it relieves a problem. If you've got a house, it relieves a problem. These are things that translate into other areas of your life because you're not worried about that thing, right? And I think that's very important to understand, that if you have a house, there's still unhappy people with houses, but if you don't think you need a house, you're crazy, right? You've got to have a house because that's a major problem if you're living in a box outside. So one of the big things with looking good and being lean and being able to take your shirt off is that feeling that everyone watching this has had. I can almost guarantee you. It's a horrible, nasty, grinding feeling that you're going to take your shirt off at the pool and you know you look bad. Okay? And that was one of the first things that inspired me to do this in the first place. And if it hadn't relieved a major problem, do you think I would be doing this for 16 years now? You know, it relieves a problem, or I wouldn't be doing this for 16 years, because when I was 12, I had no clue about working out. But the one feeling that I did have was taking my shirt off and looking like a little, you know, pudgy midget, which I'm still a midget. We shouldn't say midget, little person. Sorry.
Yeah, we're short. We're vertically challenged. That's for sure.
That's right. And so little people. I'm a little person. I'm just maybe not quite as little as a very little person. But the truth of the matter is that when you're at the pool and you feel bad, that's a universal feeling. That's a feeling that is just bad, right? And you can relieve that by losing the fat, by getting in shape. And that's one less thing you got to worry about. And you can go on trying to be happy with the rest of your life. You know, it's not a miracle. It doesn't solve all your problems. But it sure helps whenever you're not worried about looking bad. Think about your day and think how often you think that your fat's poking out, or I wonder if people can see a roll, or I'm overweight, or I shouldn't be eating this. When you take care of that, that's one of those you can throw out the window. So yeah, that's my opinion on
it. I love seeing your back shots. You got a pretty cool back. Your back really wings out. Like, I think I'm a little more V-like, but your lats, your back muscles just, like, you open up and they just, like, your back muscles just pop out. It's a cool structure that you got there.
I'll tell you the good and the bad. My back seems to be really good in a lat spread. It's pretty good in a back double bi. But what happens is I've got short lats. So I've got everything on my torso is short, is what I finally figured out. It's not that my legs are short like I always thought. It's that I have no torso. Yeah. So I'm like Van Damme. If I wore my pants where my waist is, I would look like Jean-Claude Van Damme. You know how he wore his pants like under his nipples? Or Urkel. So anyway, the bad is that I got high lats. So whenever I hit a front double bi, they tend to disappear. Whenever I do an overhead shot, they don't show from the front. So these are issues with that. From the back, they look pretty good. I got a good back from the back. But from the front, it's not a perfect structure. Franco Colombo, so you need to look at for perfect lats. Yes. They connect it like his hip bones. They're like, wow.
But it's so different. Like, some people can look at if we're comparing ourselves to others, I mean, we're very similar in height, similar in weight, and we got some similar features, but there's parts of our genetic structure that are unique, and we can't necessarily completely compare ourselves to each other. So even though we're in the same weight class and everything, you might say, oh my God, I want abs like him. But if you have staggered abs, you're not going to get abs like that person. Or someone might have an 8-pack, and if you don't have that genetically, you might only have a 4-pack. It's what you've been given. It's what you've been given to work with. So we shouldn't be really necessarily comparing ourselves with each other.
A lot of people have the 4-pack, and Arnold had the 4-pack. So if you got that, look at Arnold. He did pretty well. So don't always look at yourself totally negative. Like, oh, I got a 4-pack. There's no use even doing this. Well, Arnold had that too. So you got to look at people. Frank Zane, who I would say that if I had to compare, I don't want to say compare my physique because Frank Zane blows me away. But what I'm saying is, if that wide square shoulder where you have trouble looking like you have big traps, it's like a big triangle square that it's like boom, and there's nothing here. So I'm always working on my traps because I want something here.
Yes.
I would say that I'm very similar in build to Frank Zane. But then if I wanted to say something about Frank Zane, his abs are very staggered, and you would never know it because he just makes you look at his whole body so much you don't even notice. But his abs are not the most perfect abs in the world either. But man, he was the king of lean, the king of definition.
Yeah.
And you would never even think that unless you were a connoisseur of bodybuilding. But he's my favorite bodybuilder ever, best physique ever.
I love looking at pictures of him for sure. Very kind of a realistic physique to go after. I will never weigh his weight or anything, but it's still the look is nice. I'm the same way with traps too. I'm constantly shrugs. Deadlifts have helped me a lot. They've brought them up. I'm going to start including some farmer walks, see if that helps. So I've been experimenting with a few different things lately, which has been a lot of fun. Different stuff to kind of incorporate into my training. Did kettlebell swings for the first time yesterday. That was a shock to my hamstrings. It felt great. I'm definitely going to be using it maybe once a week as a little conditioning work to get a little extra hamstring work in there. Deadlifts with the Olympic bar have been feeling really good. Did it for the second time this week. I was always using the trap bar, which was great for my confidence because I could lift some heavy shit. For a guy who's only 155 pounds, 154 pounds, I was lifting just about 400 pounds for 5-6 reps. So I felt really good with that. Thanks. And then I go to use the Olympic bar, and 225. It wasn't challenging. 225 feels good. As soon as I put on 245, my form starts to falter. So I'm being smart and just working on technique and trying to learn a few new skills. I would like to learn a little bit more Olympic lifting. Having a very tough time processing what has to be done with some of the snatch, the hang clean, I think is the one. And I don't know, a few of those things where you're snapping up and lifting the weight up. I'm looking and then trying to process. It reminds me of when I once tried a Zumba class with my wife. I was in the back of the room and I'm watching, and I was about to move, and I'm like, shit. I just stood there, and for 2 minutes, I'm just trying to process all the information going on, and my wife is thinking I'm just going to run. I'm bolting for the door, but I just had to process it all, and then once I started getting in my head, I'm like, all right, I can do this. I never went back again, but I did it.
Zumba classes. I'm sorry. I've got to tell you cannot do this anymore. This is for your reputation.
I tried it once. Same thing. I've tried yoga a couple times. Just not my cup of tea. I do like to have an open mind for certain techniques and give it a try. Zumba was for pure entertainment purposes to see why my weight.
Scott in the pants with the little tassels.
I was beautiful, man. I was just like Richard Simmons. I was prancing around. It was friggin' awesome. It was good. It was actually a fun experience. I'm glad I did it, but yeah, it's not something I ever do again. But it was fun to experience one of those once-in-a-lifetime things.
Well, there's a lot of things that will put you in your place, and it's always you can fall into one method of training. It's like with this strength stuff. I mean, coming back and trying to get strong, it's really put me in my place, and trying to battle through this little issue that is not like a sharp stabbing pain. This is something that I was just not trying to fix. You know what I mean? I was just kind of like, well, it hurts, so I'm just going to do 40s. And that kind of thing, you do need to try to work your way up. And now it feels the same with 70s, and actually feels better than it did when I was using 40s back a little way. So you've got to try to push through these things if it's not a serious injury. If it's just something that maybe has to do with mobility and things like that, try to work on your mobility and push through things. Like, everybody, sometimes your knee will hurt a little bit, but if you quit squatting because your knee hurts a little bit, you've got to keep doing it unless the doctor tells you no.
Yeah, my doctor
try things.
Yeah, my doctor said you'll never squat again, you'll never lunge again after I had knee surgery, and I'm doing pretty damn good with those movements right now and feeling much better, much stronger, have much more mobility than at the time when the doctor said don't do it again. So, I don't want to tell anybody don't listen to your doctor's advice.
That's what I'm saying too. If you've got a torn ACL, don't say, well, Jay and Scott told me.
No, I just had torn meniscus, which is a pretty common injury, and they did some cleaning in there, just a minor little scoping surgery. Recovery was a long time. I had a lot of inflammation after they cleaned around the lining of the knee. So it was a long recovery, and it took a while to get my full range of motion because the swelling was so severe after the surgery. But hey, I continued to build myself up and strong as ever right now. So ecstatic about that. Listen to my body for sure. The lacrosse ball is definitely my best friend. I was trying different things the other day, just some gentle work. Like I'm finding for the front of my delts and even the subscapularis, which is in the front of the shoulder blade, it wraps around the shoulder. If I place my arm in certain positions, I can kind of dig a little bit deeper, and I still go nice and gentle. But I did that earlier in the week, and my shoulder feels like a friggin' $1,000,000. So little things like that. It's good. Little self-massage here and there. It's I do it daily, not here and there. I friggin' love it. It's been very helpful for me.
I'm going to try my best to do it as often as possible and see if I can loosen whatever this is up. But it's one of those things you have to take care of your body, especially as you get older.
Yes.
Things are they're not going to work perfectly. And if you use any excuse to get out of doing something, then, it's a fine line. I realize that. But I sprained my wrist in a motorcycle wreck. I had a pretty bad motorcycle wreck. One of my really good friends was riding directly behind me, and I thought that's not good because you're supposed to ride staggered, and we were on the road. And a car was stopped when we went around a curve going down to Cumberland Falls, which is the Niagara of the South. If anybody's ever been there. And it's a real curvy road in the woods. So we went around a curve, and a car was stopped. And I put on my brakes because I've been riding motorcycles a long time. I had my first one when I was 3. But anyway, I stopped. Not that I'm that great, because I'm afraid of motorcycles. The end of the story tells you why. But he hits me directly in the rear fender, and his bike just exploded because it was a crotch rocket. It was a sport bike. And he went rolling down the road, and I flew into the ditch and landed both hands out and sprained my wrist. It swelled up like this immediately. And it was months before that thing got well. Well, I found out that I could do a hammer curl, but I couldn't turn my wrist. I couldn't supinate. So what I did was all hammer curls for about 6 months, and I didn't lose anything that I could tell in my bicep. And the wrist healed up fine because I avoided hurting that injury. So there's ways to work around things too. And by the way, I don't ride motorcycles anymore, and I don't recommend it. They're dangerous. So it's not a matter of when you wreck it, or if you wreck, it's a win. It really is. I had another friend who just had one and had to have foot surgery. So I'm not into motorcycles anymore. They're just too scary for me. But the point of it is sometimes you can work around an injury and still get a good workout and not lose. But you could also use it for an excuse and just say, well, I can't work out for 6 months. And that's what the doctor wants you to do a lot of times. Mm-hmm. And so there's a fine line between what do you do? It's according to the injury. So
yeah, I find a lot of times movement is a good thing. Getting blood flowing, and I find it can help repair a lot of my injuries quicker. Not that I get injured very often. It's pretty rare that I end up hurting myself. But when it does happen, yeah, I do find that if I continue moving, even if it's other limbs and stuff, I tend to heal a bit faster.
If anything hurts, don't do it. That's my opinion. I've got a bicep tendon, a little bit of tendonitis in my left arm, and during one of the videos that I made, I was doing a reverse curl, and it was just feeling like a little knife jab every time I did a curl, and I could have powered through it, of course. But I thought, what if I go to rope curls on the cable? Is that going to help? Is that going to be better? And I went and did that, and sure enough, that alleviated the pain. And so I was able to avoid furthering that tendonitis probably. And I've always followed that rule, and it's worked very well for me, allowing injuries to heal up while still getting a good workout in. So that's my advice on that.
You may find even like with the lacrosse ball, sticking it, like I love getting on a corner of the wall, so my body's away from the wall, and then I have the ball, so I'm right on the edge, and like massaging up in the shoulder and the pec area, like right in the line here. Like, so if I'm tight up here, it can be pinching the bicep tendon up high, and if you're knotted up here or any kind of pinching up here, I find it hurts down here as well.
Man, I got to try this stuff. What's the size? What size do you use?
Lacrosse ball, I think, is a standard. It almost looks like a racquetball or something. Yeah. So it works wonders there, and I even found like my tricep was knotted up, and that was impacting me down here. So even like massaging right around like the brachioradialis crossing the joint, I just find there's usually the root of the problem is way different than where I'm feeling the symptom. But I just do I just like self-exploratory self-massage there, and you find certain areas, and then all of a sudden, like, holy smokes, that one area relieved the pain down here. Like, whenever I feel a knot in the neck up here, usually the problem is down low here by the shoulder blades. So I'm always a little self-exploratory, and then I feel it, and like, whoa, that's a trigger point, and then it's pulsating up the muscle and if the muscle is tight in a certain area, it can cause an issue somewhere else with a different muscle.
See, that's interesting. That's very interesting to me right now, because I've got a lot of these little problems that I think are stemming from other things, and I think it's, my scapula is one thing that's got to really get worked out, because I pull that muscle constantly. I mean, if I'm overhead pressing, that's the muscle I have to watch out for. Middle of my back, scapula, trap, whatever it is, lower trap. I'm not sure which muscle it is. I'm just going to massage them all, man.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm going to be laying on a lot of lacrosse balls.
Well, this is good. Nice catching up, man. Any other learning lessons that you've experienced in the past 2 weeks?
The only thing I will say is it gets different every time you do this, and it may not be a lot different, but don't be afraid to experiment with different things, because caloric levels, different things can be manipulated, like you've learned in the last little while. And I think that you have to see what's working, go light at first, go easy, and don't drop the calories too much. See what's happening before you just dive right into something, and make small adjustments and keep going that way. And I think that's the main thing. Like, I'm really debating 40 minutes of cardio. I'm still losing fat. Should I go to 40 tonight? Should I just stay at 30? Because I had this overtraining problem early in the week. So you're always, factoring these things in and calculating what's the best thing, but always go on the easy side. Only add things if you need to. Yeah. That's my opinion.
That's excellent. I agree. Perfect. Good advice, man. Well, it's been great catching up, buddy. I'm really looking forward to your video tomorrow, your big reveal. I'm enjoying the behind-the-scenes footage, your training videos as well. Today, I'm working, it's pushing movements, chest, shoulders, triceps. I love that cable. I'm going to give that a shot today. I'm really looking forward to seeing how that feels. I've done something similar. So, yeah, we're going to definitely incorporate that. I'm going to be hitting the gym in about 20 minutes. So I need to get a little bit of fuel in me.
Go all the way like that and all the way out. Try to get that full range, because that's the cable. You go past here, I'm talking about like this.
Yes.
Go past here with a dumbbell, there's nothing there.
Exactly.
With a cable, man, you can really go full range. So
that's awesome, dude. That's cool. We're learning from each other as well on little workout tips. So this has been a lot of fun. I'm so glad we're doing this. It's really great to share this journey with someone else going after similar goals, and especially being similar in size and everything too. So this has been a blast, and Thanks for sharing in this with me, buddy. It's I'm loving every second of it.
We're having a good time. We're doing this together and trying to share as much stuff as we can. And I think we'll just keep sharing it around Facebook, and hopefully people will see it. It's starting to get interesting now because we're getting lean.
Yeah.
And that's when it starts to get interesting. Otherwise, it looks just like a chubby guy, doing some poses. But now it's starting to get interesting. You're starting to see things come in, and people are starting to be able to see, oh, that's how it happens. Oh, he's still got a little bit of fat, but look at his abs. Oh, and it just every week progresses. It's interesting stuff.
Yeah, it really is, because a lot of times people will not pull out the camera until they're already lean, so you don't have a good indication of how things, like what happened along the process. And even like looking at the videos, some people will say, they'll look at me like, well, Scott, your abs haven't changed this week. I'm like, but dude, did you see like the veinage that's coming along here? More detail in the arms. My back is more detailed. My quads are detailed, and I mean, I'm not showing my ass off to people right now. But yeah, I mean, there's fat is coming off from everywhere. So you can't always just look at one aspect of the body, but they get to see where things are coming off, and as that little bit of love handle fat starts to disappear, you get to see, all right, so he's down a pound this week. Where did that pound of fat come off of? And it's a fun experience. I love the accountability. It's been tremendous, and I love the feedback. I love communicating with other people who are sharing in the journey, and kind of getting inspired by the realness of it all, the transparency of what we're going through.
It's inspiring when you start from the beginning like that, like you said. I mean, you got to start where people can associate. Mm-hmm. And when people can associate with that, they say, oh, okay, this is what I have to do. It's going to take this long, and I don't need to get discouraged after a week. Even me, I feel a little bit of impatience. I'm like, I could go faster than this. This is taking forever. And then I think, wait, it's been 4 or 5 weeks. This is not forever. I need at least 8 weeks to cut up from where I was. I mean, I was way out there. So I may even be going a little too fast, to be honest with you. I don't know. So people need to know that it takes time. And if you're anywhere in the range of normal, it's going to take 8 to 12 weeks. And if you're way above, it's probably going to take longer than that. But that's not a bad thing. It just means you get on the road and you start going. It takes 12 hours to drive to Orlando, too. If you want to get there in 30 minutes from Kentucky, then that's not going to happen. And from Canada, it probably takes 3 days.
That's right, man. Very cool, buddy. Well, I enjoyed catching up. I'm looking forward to it. I'm heading out. It'll be interesting to see how I handle this weekend, because we're heading out on a camping trip with a bunch of our neighbors and friends. I just came back from the liquor store, so I'll be. I got some nice beers to be drinking, so I'll be tasting some of that. Probably dipping into some treats. Definitely not going to be beating myself up. I'm going to try not to go way overboard as well. So I'm looking forward to kind of sharing my experience about what happens there.
All the ghost stories you want, but not all the s'mores you want. So
very cool.
Careful with alcohol and roasted marshmallows. Those are very dangerous.
So true, so true. All right, man. Well, this was great catching up, and I look forward to our next conversation.
All right, man. Great talking to you, and let's do this again soon.
All right. Keep kicking butt, bud.
All right, you too.